your boy LT the Don Juan. We back at it again. Hey, it's been a long time, but it's good to see everybody back at it. Everybody sticking to their craft and sticking to their tools. We've been out here growing, out here learning. We've been out here trying to put in the finalization to the steps of everything we focused on and what we got going in life. As y'all know, or if any of y'all know, I was working on a book last time we talked, and that's what I've been focused on for the past year and plus months. You know what I'm saying? Finalizing everything, revising, editing, working with my publisher back and forth, making sure we got our things put together so we can all put it in the pot and make it work. You know what I'm saying? A lot of effort, a lot of time. You know what I'm saying? A lot of research and development. A lot of prayer, a lot of talking with God, a lot of looking within myself. Uh, a lot of trying to come up out of things that seem to be distractions or things that will keep me from my task and doing what I feel like I need to be doing and getting it done in a way that's sufficient and gonna be helpful to the process. You know what I'm saying? Gotta make sure that you got your priorities in check, if you will. But other than that, God is good all the time. Been taking care of my needs and my necessities. Um, you know, Making sure that I'm putting in proper time where it's needed. I figure since I'm almost done writing my book now, maybe I'll try doing some videos again.
Ooh, the movie's starting!
How about this? Okay, there it is and there it was, y'all. We got it done. But yeah, working on the book, man. You know what I'm saying? Trying to put it all together and make sure that it's everything that is necessary to bring revelations to everything my life is about, what I've been working on, the things that I know, the things that I believe, the things that I've received over time, and how those things affect all of us as a whole. I had to really get down to the basics of things, learn how to break down barriers, man. A lot of us, we have a problem with, not just the things that we know or believe, or the things that we were taught or anything like that. It's just that we allow the things that we stand on sometimes can be the very things that be our downfall. And it's like, if anything that you stand on has a religious pretense, if anything that you stand on has God in mind, if anything that you stand on has the universe in mind, if anything that you stand on has a spiritual aspect to it, or a said religious aspect to it, if any of those things that you stand on do not have the pretenses of growth, the pretenses of breaking down and understanding things and breaking down, said barriers, because, no God to me, I believe, will have any constraints or confines or any barriers um, from total and infinite uh, impossibilities. You know what I mean? Things that we can't conceive or perceive, but God can. Uh, and I believe that anytime you believe in God, for you to degrade a situation or to belittle a circumstance that is on a spiritual nature, or to say anything doesn't have a capacity or a possibility, it's just coming from a place of I tried this, I tried that, this works for me, that didn't work for me, etc., etc., etc. The truth is until whatever way that you're going to come, because everybody chooses a different path, but until you come correct, you know what I'm saying? It's coming correct is how those things will manifest unto you, their necessities, not just in your life, but to anybody else's life. And so, we've been working on, being able to present, to be able to express what God has given me, I believe personally, to share with the world, to share with you guys. And so I put those things together the best way I could in the book. And I really believe it was spiritually influenced, by the Holy Spirit. I believe God really did lead me to the understanding of all the things that I know, and even gave me experiences to, be able to really have conviction and knowledge and discernment about a lot of the things that I'm going to express throughout the book, because they are revelations. And, if we were living through an apocalypse right now, I would think right now is the time of an apocalypse, the unveiling of things, the revealing of things. Um, 8 years ago, when I started my journey back in February 1st, 2015, uh, during that whole year of 2015, I don't think people were what you would call woke yet, so it was a long journey to go through so-called being woke, um, or being someone who has time traveled through different places and spaces of time and space, right? Doing things like that are really hard to express in a world that is totally ignorant of, a multiverse or parallel universes or parallel timelines or, portal stargates, all the things that you are thoroughly being desensitized to in, 2023. Those things were being desensitized to you back in 2015 and back in the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s, but it was not your everyday programming. We went from cowboys and Indians first, to cops and robbers. Then we went from cowboys and Indians, cops and robbers to the man on the moon and being an astronaut and flying in space and stuff like that. Um, but in this generation, I believe time travel and opening up portals and dimensional planes and different things like that. Things I've been talking about for 8 years, because I said I experienced things that pertain to that. Those things are being thoroughly massaged, into our mind state at this point, 8 years later down the road. And that gives me the thought that people are now waking up, said to what I've been saying for 8 years now. You hear it in the language of the black community, just out here speaking on, regular conversations and stuff like that, don't kill my vibe, so to speak. And, to kill somebody's vibe is speaking of vibrations, you know what I'm saying? And to mess with somebody's vibe is to mess with how they feel, you know. People talk about, I don't want to be around nobody with bad energy, or I only want good energy, you know what I'm saying? Those are linguistic terms of the mind state of where people are right now. And when we talk about time, space, and things of that nature, those things do require, energy. But as I was saying, it all goes back to energy, though, you know what I'm saying? And so, when you talk about vibrations, frequencies, tones, and energy, things like that, all pertain to spiritual aspects of things, or to some religious aspects of things. And the problem with religion to me is that, you know, we are supposed to become or to be the things that religion supposedly teaches people, and in that people are not becoming what they are being taught. They're becoming obedient to things that they are being taught, uh, yet they are not practicing the things that they're being taught in full, and that doesn't come down to the sense of necessarily morality, but oftentimes their sense of morality involves material things. And for that reason, their religious aspect of things are clouded in, you know, material distractions. And I mean material in the sense of manifested to the physical realm of things. The material realm has people weighed down heavily because they cannot see the truth of the spiritual aspects of nature of things. Um, since I used to do my YouTube channel, I started back in 2020. Probably had like 20 followers. Thank you for those who subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed, please like, share, and subscribe so I can go live. I think I need at least 50 followers. And gotta find a way to start chopping it up with y'all in a way that doesn't violate any of the codes of, YouTube and any other platform I'm trying to get on, because Lord knows how that goes, and how they want to, monitor that and keep those things sensitized and or not desensitized. So I guess it would be, sensitized in some way, because it's sensitive to what they want people receiving, receptive to. But in this time period, speaking of time travel and things like that, one thing that happened 8 years ago for me is that I understood that time travel has everything to do with religious aspects of things. And one main form of those aspects is Christianity. Um, with the gift of the Holy Spirit and the gift of the Spirit being as present within my being, as everybody has the gift of the Spirit, in the sense that they have a soul, and that soul is a attachment to the angelic essence of who you are as a whole. Because the entirety of who you are could not just fit in the flesh and blood. Only a portion of who you are could fit within the flesh and blood, or only a fraction of who God is could fit within you. So, in saying that, you know, there's a lot of aspects to join the flesh and blood with your fullness of who you are. And through those religions or those spiritualities or those growth processes of the things you accept and receive, those are meant to be the things that teach you how to become one, you know, with who you are. And that doesn't require you to die physically. Only thing that it requires is for you to come to the knowledge and understanding of these things and to put in place the instructions that were handed to you from the divine aspects of the spiritual realm into the material realm. We were always supposed to become married, the spiritual and the physical. That is a story that most people do not still know of when we talk about Adam and Eve yet, or even Bible pretenses, or even in other cultures where the Bible exists. The Bible is just a conglomeration of many different aspects of different cultures conglomerated into what they would call a foundation, a cornerstone of all belief and knowledge and wisdom of all aspects of God, and his order of things, and his government of things, and his family of things, and his house of things. You know what I mean? All of those things have an aspect of being broken down into something that was meant to give you instructions. And those instructions were to call you to put into action the things that were given to you. And so through my book, I'm going to break down those things in a metaphysical aspect and a spiritual aspect that are materialized physically into this world. And when you see the way I break it down, it may appear to you that we may be actually living in some aspect of a construct of a matrix or such. Because I will use numbers. I will use the grid, longitude, latitude of the entire globe. I will use people, places, and things like that. Um, I will take these numbers and break them down into Greek and Hebrew meanings, which will turn this entire globe into the story of the Bible, using players of public figures and entertainers and political leaders and religious leaders and different things like that. And I will take what they've done with their careers and I will break it down what those things mean on specific dates using a formula that I call Eve's birthday. That's using 3 days attached to also 9/11 or September 11th when the Twin Towers were attacked or, blew up, if you will. And using that formula of those 3 days, Eve's birth date formula, which is really expressing the true birth date of Jesus Christ, who has been obscured throughout history. So a lot of people don't even believe in Jesus Christ anymore. A lot of things have been whitewashed, and there's just been a lot of traumas placed on people. And furthermore, if they do not read and understand, if they do not read and cipher, if they do not read and allegorically break down the multiple dimensions, even of the Bible itself, let alone going into Buddhism or Hinduism or uh, Islam or any type of other religious belief, you cannot even begin to unravel those belief systems if you cannot break down those said barriers, you know, because God is not a God of being stopped by anything or being belittled by anything. And if He wants something to be manifest, if He wants something to be known, He can take the foolish things to bring down the wise things. He can take down the weak things using the weak things and take down the strong things, right? So, God can do whatever it is that He sees fit and use those things the way He sees fit to bring about uh, a humbling and bring about a humbling from a place of love instead of total chaos and destruction. Because He could give back what we give and we could get what we deserve as a whole, as a unit, humanity. Because everybody does have choices. And God allows us to live with free will in a free world. It can be easy to blame Christ. It could be easy to blame God. It could be easy to place your sins and distractions upon anything besides yourself because we are in a world of unaccountability. And, when you don't have to be accountable for anything, man, it's easy to kick back and relax and continue to live in some type of delusion or state of being misled and misguided, uh, using the truth in mind against you. Because, when you think about most churches, even, a lot of people that lead the church graduated by means of some fraternity or fraternal order, you know, out of college, and by means of that fraternity have been opened up to a society of which they would call secrets, right? And with those knowledges and capacities of understanding, you know, they could lead whole congregations and be feeding them peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. In fact, when they have an abundance of steak, mashed potatoes, and all the other amenities and sides that would make that a full course meal, they rather just give you a snack, give you some milk, give you some peanut butter and jelly, and never give you the fullness of what you should have. Because with the fullness of things, it breaks the barriers of misunderstanding. And in my book, The Time Traveler of Judah, The Revelations of Jesus Christ, I'm going to use those specific dates of Jesus Christ's real birthday. We're going to take Jesus Christ's real birthday, which is not December 25th. I've been able to locate his true birthday by the Spirit, but I've also been able to use the manifestations of the material to show you Jesus Christ's true birthday. So I'm able to use the celestial, the sun, the moon, and the stars, the planets. I'm able to use the planets to reveal the times at when he was born, even documented in history, you know. we're going to go all the way down to the day, month, and the year, BC. And by revealing those things, we're going to go from before he was born to after he was born, all the way up to 2023 and beyond. And we're going to show you the importance of events that have occurred on Jesus Christ's true and real birthday. And when you see those things by all of the public figures that I'm going to use to reveal these revelations, they will be revealing, things that we could not imagine were right before our face. But they are presented to us in entertaining manifestations, sugar coated as good as possible for a reason, so that in some way, even if you reject the truth, you will still receive it in being entertained. And you'll never be able to deny that in some way, shape, form, or fashion that the truth was placed upon you. You'll go stand before God and deny everything that is true was given to you, because you didn't see it in the sports or the entertainment that you enjoyed. You didn't see it in, LeBron James. You didn't see it in Michael Jordan. You didn't see it in Michael Jackson. You didn't see it in all of these idols who contributed to a revelation of Jesus Christ. And not just celebrities. We're talking about important world leaders and figures around the world throughout time and space, all the way back to Adam and Eve, guys. And these truths of Jesus Christ's birthday goes all the way down to the molecular structure of the ribonucleic acid, the DNA. And so when I reveal these things to you, without a reasonable doubt, you will have a revelation of Jesus Christ. And those revelations are mighty and powerful. It's a miracle within itself that I was able to discover these things. But it's because I stuck to my guns and didn't listen to people. I listened to God, because only God can give you a certain experience that will make you go against everybody you love. And as far as completing a task, getting a mission done, fulfilling that task at all costs, being obedient to that task, and understanding the process of growth, and everything from that point on of realization happens for a reason, and your entire life happened for a reason from the beginning. But from the point of realization of your task, your purpose in this world, everything from that point on happens for a reason. And you have to begin to walk in those reasonings, even when you don't understand, even when you walk in blind. And I was able to do those things. There was times when I would talk to God and use the numbers, in Greek and Hebrew, and I'd be in certain locations or different places after going through this or going through that, and the numbers would speak to me so clearly that, oh, you passed the test. These are tests, these are trials, these are tribulations, these are things that are building you, that are making you, that are preparing you, that are shaping you. It's giving you the tools of endurance, because I need you to endure these things to the end so that I can give you a crown of life, not a crown of death. And in this time of the corona era, that crown is right before us. And it's no secret to me that everything that has been manifesting has been happening pretty much like a domino effect on one accord, one right after the other, in the way it's supposed to. And I need y'all to like, share, and subscribe so I can get on here and really go ahead and kick some knowledge. And we can get back to, sharing business, man, because I feel like since I wrote that book, even though I started it 8 years ago and I really wrote it 8 years ago, but, I had to go through this walk and growth process, a rite of passage and initiation process of, spiritually growing into the fullness of who I am physically. And I'm still doing that day for day, even to this point. But for 8 years, I was able to grow into those things and fully expand my understanding in those things, and continue to do those things daily, because God is infinite. So the ways that he can show you things and amaze you is endless, and it can be daily, every second, every moment of life can be an experience with God. It just depends on how you tapped in. But if you don't know, tell your friends about me. Tell their friends about me. I am a real live, living, in the flesh being that has traveled through time and space, physically, spiritually, and by other means. And once that story becomes relevant to the public, man, I think once they see the truth of that nature of things, I think we're going to be elevated into the future of, where is humanity going? And so, since we are going somewhere, I hope that y'all can come with me. And I hope that I can continue to ride on this journey with y'all because it's quite a mighty process that we've been through, especially if you're black. And that is not to discredit anything anyone else has been through. The things that we have endured for this long has been mightily uh, heavy weight pressed upon us. Yet at the same time, it has built a resilience in our people that it's unbelievable. That people can sustain these things and endure these things for so long without some type of change. One that is truly recognized within their group and community. We have not had that yet. And all the efforts made up until this point to give us the freedoms and the peace and the time and space that we have now, um, I won't say it has been in vain or taken for granted because, some people have appreciated and valued those contributions to history. Um, but as a whole, the devices used against us over the past 400 plus years, it takes a lot to reverse that type of damage. It takes a lot to reverse that type of injury. And even though it takes a lot, that lot doesn't have to take as long as it has to be repaired. You know, it simply has to take effect. It simply has to happen. You know, I grew up as a military brat, and I've had the opportunity to live, all around the United States, and living all around the country, and in different environments and different places. You can really gain a different aspect of what it feels like to feel free, or what it feels like to feel stress free. Um, what can an environment full of large trees and green meadows and lush flowers do for your mind state, your breathing, and the way you're living? What could a nice neighborhood or community of people that support you and that you're safe and secure in, what could those type of environments produce in the type of response and action that comes out of a person? you know because when you live through eras of financial struggle, Great Depression, Great Recession, when you use those terms and words behind those great things, you know you're talking about the mental state, or mental health of one's status of being through some means of economy and finances. And when people control these things and know the give and take, the compare and contrast, the Q&A, the research and development, when they know the reaction and the response, to doing things and putting things out there, they already understand psychologically the effect on people and the way things are going. And so you got to understand why the psyop, why the psychological warfare, why the playing games. Well, people, I think we all know what time it is. Everybody, no matter how slow you are, no matter how fast you are, no matter how sexually demoralized you are, no matter how into the world you are, no matter how money hungry or greedy or gluttonous you could be, no matter how selfish you could be, no matter what you doing right or wrong in this world right now, everybody know that something is up. And that within the gut of themselves it's time for something to happen. And so those occurrences are among us, people. And it doesn't surprise me that my book is just now coming to a point of getting done as far as being published by a publisher. Yeah, I could have self-published and did all these other different things, but I figured I'd have a professional involved so that they can help me in the little bitty ways that you know would ensure that my book gets to where I want it to go. And I'm also going to do my part by word of mouth. And when we come to the truth and realities of these things, everything will be made manifest in a way that it can be understood. Because everybody can't understand deep things. But I tell you, God is so complex that He made the deep things very simple to understand. And that's why I was able to put it in the book to where you're going to be able to simply understand. But it's very complex in a way. But, using true birth dates, formulas, and 9/11 and different things like that, using people that we idolized growing up or just knew as a public figure of some manner or another. By using things that we are familiar with, events, occurrences throughout history, and familiarizing them with the birth date of Jesus Christ, man, it's gonna put another perspective on what you believe. You know, because if you don't believe what I'm gonna reveal to you through this book, I mean, you have the right to do that, but man, you have to have a level of ignorance that I've never seen in my lifetime, and that right there in of itself will be a revelation to what's going on out here. You feel me? So we don't want anybody to be deceived. We don't want anybody to be misled. And we really do want to put the truth of the nature of things out here. When I discovered I was a time traveler back in February 1st of 2015, it was actually Super Bowl Sunday. And it was just 10 days away from my birthday. And maybe I was going through a midlife crisis or maybe some other things was happening. But I really believe I time traveled here that day in 2015, and I really believed I came from 2 years from the future, which is in the past at this point in time. But I believe these parallel timelines and the purpose of intentfully being present in this one all serves a purpose of where this timeline is headed as a whole. And when I discovered that truth, man, I started talking to God in a way that I never talked to God before, you know. Or maybe I always talked to God, but I never, expected a response. And it's not something that so much is audible, even though it is. It's more like a vibration or a frequency, right? A tune. And something about that frequency and that tune, it has me quantumly entangled to God. I'm talking about all the way back to the beginning of creation. And that's why I was able to experience and see some of the things that I've seen throughout time and space and history itself, because those things are a part of who God is. And because I'm quantumly entangled to God, I'm quantumly entangled all the way back to the beginning of what His expression of beginning something is, which is creation. And I am a military brat, so there are excuses and reasons that I feel that I have for being capable of even saying some of the stuff I'm going to say, or doing some of the things that I've ever say I've done. And when I started listening to God, He said, you used to be a soldier back in the Civil War. These are some of the things that I was experiencing on my way to this time period, if you will, because it was like a near-death experience I can refer to now that I've done some research. My time travel was like a near-death experience to me. Going through my life again, life flashing before my eyes, except there were missing pieces to my life that were being placed back into my memories, like whoa, because I said they were erasing my memories. That might sound cliche now, but I was really meaning what I said back then, because I was remembering stuff I felt like I had no business remembering, like, what are all these things associated with? And, the presence of God being with me during that time is what allowed me to be recollective of what these events were. what these things mean, and how does it pertain to me now, and what do I need to do with that information going forward. And I discovered that I was a soldier back during the Civil War, and that time travel had been going on for a while, and that the Civil War was a pivotal time in history for time travel and the future of it. And one of the things that were established back in the Civil War was a line of information and communication. That line of information and communication became a ripple effect over the past 100 plus 50 years. And it became what you know as the telegraph. But the telegraph is what we know today as a ripple effect will be the World Wide Web. You know, it's equivalent to me going back and placing some paper and a pen in the hand of a caveman and then seeing what he might write or come up with, and we discover it. You know, is evolution of that years later over time. You know, a ripple effect and a line of information and communication, instant line of information and communication, uh, telepathy in a sense, but the telegraph, right? And so that telegraph was a pivotal marker used in the past. And so once I discovered that I was a Buffalo Soldier or a soldier, which I came to discover was a Buffalo Soldier, um, they actually set up a line of information and communication, which came to be known as the telegraph. They were also the first text messengers. So, you know, when I came upon all of these informations, you know, uh, the Eve's birthday formula will be included, and those are the breadcrumbs that I will be given to be convicted. Hey, something's going on here. You need to keep looking into it. Why do you believe these things? You're a grown man with kids. You got responsibilities. All those things came to mind, even through the traumatic experience of thinking who I was. But when I discovered the Buffalo Soldiers, I came upon this picture, and when I found this picture, I was kind of convinced from that point on to continue to seek out what I thought to know and believe. But this is a picture of me in 2007 when I was 24 years old, and then this is also a picture of me that I found just listening to that voice in my mindset, who is God, that I'm quantumly entangled to. And so, by doing my research on the Buffalo Soldiers and learning that there was even black soldiers back then at all, because I did not know that before I knew who I was, and these memories was placed back in my mindset. All right, but in 2007, I was also in Chicago, Illinois. Now, there's a lot of the story going on there, but I'm not going to get into that part of the story. I'm just going to show you that there are some correlations involved heavily. But in 2007, I was 24 years old. Now, this Buffalo Soldier right here would have been the equivalent of my age, 24 years old, in this picture. And we look identical. We even have the same scar. If you can see, kind of look like I might have nicked myself. Pardon my hair right there. That's not a nick. That's just a scar in my head. But if you look at this picture right here, same place, same scar, identical. 1865, 2007, 24 years old. Tell me how it's possible. You look on his forehead right there. You see it? You see that scar on his forehead right there? And I mean, look at that. That's uncanny. So, when I had all these memories of me being back in the 1865s and 1800s in the Civil War, um, and actually found a picture of me, because that's why God even led me there. He said that's the first time in history, because you've been through many points of history, but he said this is the first time in history that you will be able to find identification of yourself through photography. And lo and behold, if I wasn't able to find that, y'all. Ain't that crazy? Now, the difference between me and him is that you can see physical hemorrhages on his mouth and above his eyebrows. But, you know, nonetheless, even with that, you cannot hide that face, that nose, or that mouth. Really, none of the attributes of that picture. I don't even look that much like my biological father. I don't even look that much like anybody that is supposed to be my family. I don't look that much like any of them. But yeah, here I am in 1865. So, either that's a doppelganger or that's not me. Uh, but nonetheless, finding that picture did put fuel to the fire. And the more I listened to God, the more I did my research and development, the more I understood that the World Wide Web was even placed here just for people like me to use it to bring about the revelations of things. There is some true understanding that needs to be expressed here before we go into the future, because the future is now. The future is upon us, and the things of the future are very advanced. The technology of the future is very spiritually inclined. It's spiritual technology. And so before that technology ever comes out, uh, y'all gotta be, y'all gonna have to be schooled quick through a period of probably chaos and disruption. But this system that we living in really should have never been built, because we actually did discover this spiritual technology way before we started throwing up buildings and skyscrapers and shit. So we did have the capacity to build things the right way the first time probably, or built it better and have it more adaptable once we came into the understanding of what those things were, which is this generation. We are coming into the capacity of the fullness of those understandings, uh, which will get rid of a lot of systems that we use, like currency and pharmaceutical industries and medical industries. A lot of those things won't apply anymore, and a lot of those things are a big part of our economy, across the world. But anyway, I stayed on here longer than I intended to, but it's good being back at it again, and we'll convene again and talk and chop it up, and we'll go over some of the things that's been happening since I've been gone. Alien disclosure, suspectable satellites, lasers, all kind of different things going on in the world. Hopefully, y'all still stand in tune with God and self, and continue to manifest. Peace. Hold it down. I love you. We'll holler at y'all later. All right, y'all. For those of y'all seen Superman, any of the Christopher Reeve series back in the day, um, this is Superman 3 starring Christopher Reeves and Richard Pryor. Now, I just want y'all to pay attention to the narrative real quick. Go ahead and check it out. This is 3.5 decades ago, y'all.
Longitude, latitude, right?
Por aquí, señora.
Oh, Lori, a native wedding.
Terrific. Proclamemos la bondad de Dios con estos dos hijos suyos, los anillos.
Sí.
¿Qué es eso? Oye, mira para arriba.
Bendito sea Dios.
They never told us in the Daily Planet that this was the rainy season.
killed by the tornado and torrential rainstorms that struck the South American country of Colombia this afternoon, threatening to destroy the nation's entire coffee crop for the next 5 years. Gale force winds up to an incredible 250 miles an hour lashed the countryside, while 12 inches of rainfall have already been recorded in just one day. A spokesman for the Department of Meteorology at Caltech here said this was, and I quote,